Thanks for joining in. So, welcome to the State of CRM podcast. I'm Matt,
And I'm Ben.
and today this is actually our first live broadcast. So, we're trying something a little bit new. Before everything was sort of pre-recorded, but this provides an opportunity for you guys to actually ask questions, provide comments, and whatnot in real time, just by using the private chat feature. We'll see them populate on our screen, and then as we sort of go along, we can address them or bring up any points that you have. So any sort of thoughts or questions or anything at all, please feel free to shoot them over. And let's make this as interactive as possible.
Yeah, sure. And we see we see the comments, so we can answer that live.
Absolutely. So today's topic we're going to be exploring is around multi-offer campaigns, which is something that we end up talking to marketers a lot about, and basically the opportunities as well as some of the challenges marketers face sending out multiple offer campaigns, specifically newsletters and things like that. So what we see a lot, especially on the consumer side, is that you receive newsletters for things that either are not necessarily relevant to you or are just filled with content, which we call skyscraper emails.
Yeah.
And you have to scroll all the way to the bottom to be able to see all of the different offers. So we are big fans of newsletters and multiple offer campaigns. We want to offer some advice and have a little bit of a discussion around how to best use those. Ben, let's kick it off maybe by just chatting about some of the challenges that we've seen in the field CRM marketers facing in terms of sending out multi-offer campaigns.
Yeah, sending multi-offer campaigns, there are pros and cons, and one part of the challenge of doing that is really the fact that you need to select multi-offers, a bunch of offers that will go together or not. And the thing is, when you do that, the real challenge is knowing if that makes sense to grab this offer together, to gather them in the same communication. And if there will be an interest for the same audience. So avoiding to try to build this skyscraper email, as you mentioned, and trying to send a mass campaign with everything in every type of product in your communication, and trying to better target the campaign with multiple offers. But the challenge is to identify what offers are going together and are working correctly. Mm-hmm. That's one thing. The other challenge, another challenge, is really to answer all the need from the business, and so being able to bring this topic in communication days after days and repeat that. And again, the internal discussion, I think, it can be a challenge, because you have like 2, 3, 5, depending on the size of the company, that can be 10 different owner of category of products internally that wants their product to be pushed out or communicated to the database, to your consumers. And the big challenge is to organize them in a week, in 2 weeks, in a calendar view. And that's something can give a headache to marketers.
Yeah, and I think because of those things, what we end up seeing is exactly what we sort of talked about at the beginning, which is marketers trying to essentially overuse multi-offer campaigns by just adding too many things to them. And what that does is, it's a bit harmful to the user experience, because that's like, whether or not things are relevant, like too much content, nobody's going to be able to ingest all of that. And second of all, offers that are buried at the bottom of the newsletter are unlikely to be interacted with or noticed or drive conversions. And then kind of related to that, one thing that we've sort of noticed from certain marketers too is how do we get the creative bandwidth to be able to execute these campaigns is another thing we're hearing. So creative teams we know are pretty swamped. Multi-offer campaigns, designing newsletters, finding the right image to the right copy, all of that sort of thing can be a bit daunting and place extra pressure on the creative team to be able to deliver. And then I think also, kind of aligned with what you were saying around finding the right audiences for multiple offers, the reaction to that, I think, tends to be for marketers to over-rely on batch and blast and broad-based segmentation, which we talk a lot about, which it has a place at times, but also something that should be avoided, especially in this case, because there's going to be so many different potential offers with potential buyers, that the opportunity for targeting remains pretty great. However, also to your point, more of a challenge because you're trying to find things that are relevant combined in the same newsletter.
Those are the challenge of the multi-offer selection or campaigns. How do we balance that? I mean, what are the benefits of doing multi-offer campaigns, and how do we we can list the advantage, or the positive side of it.
I think one major thing that comes to mind is we're always talking about commercial pressures or the needs of the business that place pressure on CRM marketers to deliver campaigns. So ultimately, we as marketers want to be strategic. We want to put the customer first, develop relevant content, relevant messaging, but sometimes that can be difficult when, to your point earlier, you have a category manager wanting to push something out, or there's a product priority, or merchandise needs to be moved, or there's a sales opportunity, or a partner campaign, and all of these things are difficult to plan ahead for. Some of them come up last minute, so what CRM marketers end up doing is being reactive. And that can lead to an increased volume of campaigns being sent out. But multi-offer campaigns allow marketers the opportunity to reduce the frequency by including more offers in a single campaign. But obviously, you want to be cognizant of not doing too much of that. So that's where targeting comes into play. And I think directly combined with that is fatigue management as well. So if you're sort of managing that frequency, not reaching out to the same audiences 12 times a week. I mean, if you've capped it at 2 or 3, multi-offer campaigns provide an opportunity for you to get more offers in front of those audiences without having to increase your frequency. So there is a big benefit to them for sure.
Yeah, and if we step back a little bit on the macro picture of that, these campaigns are the first step, the first stone of the long-term relationship you build with your brand. If you have a good matching between the consumer and the offer, so there is interest for the content you send, you build a better relationship on the long term and therefore a better customer lifetime value. So you keep that, building this relationship on the long term. And why brands and why we want to build this relationship is to be able to get the clients understanding, linked, having an interest for the brand, and that's on the long term that will increase the CLV. I'm checking my notes. That's wanted to also mention that, touch base on that. Because for one sec, that's because you have a better matching. Being more relevant between the content and the audience, you will increase the performance of the individual campaign, the revenue per campaign, the revenue per volume on the volume sense will increase. And again, back to my previous point, that's on the long term, that's the strategy that pay at the bottom line at the end of the day, at the end of the year. Bottom line, that you'll increase the revenue because you are sending more relevant content to your consumer, building a better relationship with them, and when it matters to repeat the purchase and to repeat the action and the exchange, I would say, of between the brand and the consumer, this type of relationship lasts longer than just creating fatigue with skyscraper emails.
Yeah, so we've talked a little bit about some of the challenges, and obviously there are opportunities as well. If there weren't, marketers wouldn't be using this tactic. So what are some of the things that marketers can actually do to be able to tap into the benefit that multi-offer campaigns create while avoiding some of the things we mentioned at the beginning that can be pitfalls?
Yeah, the main thing is being able to identify these audiences with the propensity, with the interest for the product, for each and every offer you want to promote. And then the way to do it is to identify who are the audiences, the different, what are the different audiences that have overlap. So that means if you have a big overlap between two audiences for two different offers, there are two actions you can take. Either if you want to promote these two offers right now, you group them in the same communication, even though they are not directly linked, that can be the case. I mean, that can be a product and an option of it, or something that is directly linked to the same universe, same category of the product, but that can be products from two different categories, but with the same audience. And because the audience are similar, you should put them together. If you don't want to do that, that means you want to split them in different campaigns, and so give some time between the two campaigns. Avoiding to send back-to-back two different campaigns with two different topics to the same audience. So really, the understanding the understanding of what is the audience, who are the people in the audience with propensity for each offer, will help you to decide to gather the product, the offer together, or to split them out in different campaigns and over time.
Yeah, I love that thinking too, because what we hear over and over again is, how do we create customer-centric marketing? And that's exactly what that is. It's not coming at it from the product perspective. I have like these 4 things that need to go out. They're all, related to summer, beach, swimwear, etc. Obviously, it's great to create themed content where you can, but thinking also about like, what is it that my audience wants, and how do I target the right things to that audience, which I think is really interesting. And I think that there's really interesting revenue implications that this unlocks as well. Yep. So, a lot of the marketers that we talk to have very broad catalogs, like hundreds, if not in some cases thousands of SKUs that they basically have to address. And what happens is a lot of niche products end up getting very little airtime. Because they're sacrificed for either products that have to be promoted due to the commercial pressures we mentioned, or simply products that maybe have more broad appeal or more revenue potential. But what we've found is that niche products, especially in aggregate, have a lot of revenue potential as well. And so if you understand your buying audience, understand what they want, you can include those offers in newsletters in addition to the main like marquee products you want to promote, and unlock opportunities for people who might actually want to purchase those niche products without having to create a bespoke campaign specifically for each one of those.
Yeah. That make me think of two different conversations I had recently. One of those is about incentives. That's the fact that sometime, that was this morning, that's conversation with the marketer saying that, how do we identify people with interest for an audience? Identify the audience with interest for the offer, because there is this gut feel that when we send a 10%, 15% off to our consumers, most of them would buy the product anyway. But we are not sure who are the people interested by the product, so we are sending broad message with an incentive to try to catch attention from everyone. But in this process, we are sure, the gut feel is that we are sure that we are helping some clients to convert, but some other would have converted anyway without the discount, and so we are giving away some revenue. And this is true. The thing is that you can, if you are relevant and if you identify the right audience and you make the right bundle, the right theme campaign to the right audience, you can get away from all these incentive discount reduction offers, because if you have the right match and really that you find the people with interest for the product, if they have really interest for that, they don't need an extra incentive. And that leads to my second point on the interest of the incentive. So often we have the discussion with clients that say that, okay, how do I find the audience with propensity for 12% of discounts, or 15 or 17, 20%, or who are the people in my database with interest for free delivery, free shipping. The discounts, the incentive is not a product.
Yeah.
That's a great marketing tool to increase conversion rate, but in the first place, you need to make a match between the audience and the offer. And the offer is not the incentive. That's the product they will receive. They are not receiving a discount. They're not receiving free shipping.
Yeah.
They are buying a product that we own. I mean, that can be physical product, that can be digital product, that can be listening to music, that can be buying tickets for a show, whatever. That they are buying something that is not the discount. The discount is coming on top of that to increase the performances of the conversion on the part of the audience. And most likely the audience that is not yet totally convinced, that can shift to, okay, I'm doing it because of the incentive. But there is a big part of the audience that has no interest in the product, and you can give whatever incentive they won't buy anyway. And the third part of the audience is the part that has a big interest for the offer, the product, the show, and they don't need the incentive to convert. So when you do an incentive to everyone, basically you are sending an incentive for a part of the population that has no interest anyway and won't convert, so the incentive is doing nothing. A part of the population, top propensity, top interest for the product, that will convert anyway, so you are using an incentive and wasting an incentive and money on that. And the incentive will work for a very narrow population that is in between and still not sure. So again, you need to find the audience with the match between the audience and the product. The incentive is coming on top of that, and ideally you are able to identify the people who will need this incentive to convert and separate them from the people with interest to the product, and you don't need to do the incentive for them.
Yeah, it all goes back to audience building and targeting, and in the case of multi-offer campaigns, understanding, to your point, that overlap between buying interest for each offer, and once you're able to do that, you can actually create powerful revenue opportunities as well, just simply through the volume of offers that you're able to send out. So, we never encourage brands to send out more communication that are irrelevant to customers. But what you can do here is send out more multi-offer campaigns targeted to audiences that include or that have high overlap. So you can actually increase the volume of offers you're sending out, which obviously increases the opportunity to convert customers based on things that they want to buy. So we're going to see that revenue per campaign metric increase. And also as sort of like a business benefit as well, those commercial pressures that we're constantly talking about, it's an opportunity for you as a marketer to address those, get ahead of your campaign planning, and then you can spend more time on doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, which is being a strategic marketer, developing a strategy for an effective campaign plan that achieves the goals that you're looking to achieve, and building those relationships with customers over time. So I think there's a big opportunity there for just like simply increasing the volume of offers that you're able to get in front of people, as long as you're targeting them. You don't have to send one huge long newsletter to your entire database. You could send 5 to targeted audiences, and then obviously managing the relative fatigue between, who might appear within each of those, or who might be interested in each of those campaigns, so you're not overdoing it.
Yeah, and I know that sounds maybe a lot of work, additional work. I mean, there is, won't lie, there is work to put in motion to make progress and go on this route of making more campaigns. But I mean, every single marketer I'm talking to is saying, I want to be more customer centric. I want to have my customer in the center of my decision. I'm relying on the data to take the decision. And yet we are still seeing all this mass email. And I was talking about the incentive with only the incentive in the email to everyone. And that's, 20% off all website on the store. I mean, no, show the product, showcase the product. I mean, do the extra work to actually you need to do this extra work to actually being able to achieve the goal of being customer-centric and provide marketing practice that are customer-centric. And the benefit will be, very important for your consumer, and so very important for your business on the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, kind of like wrapping it up, thinking a little bit around like, okay, so we've talked a lot about you have to be able to identify intent for each and every offer, and then therefore finding the overlap. So, kind of similar to how we usually conclude, it's all in your first party data in terms of the signals that you need to be able to tell you that, and being able to sort of identify through lookalike modeling or what have you, like who is most likely to be purchasing each and every offer, and then you can do the overlap analysis as well. But all of that is are clues that you can find within your first party data, things that you already have access to.
Yeah, the really untapped potential of that practice is in your first party data. The opposite thing, or the easy way we can see that is, how do we leverage third-party data? And yes, knowing the weather where your consumer is living and making dynamic personalization in a mass campaign will help a little bit, but the big part of the improvement and the leverage you can have, and the big step you can get in terms of revenue and performance is coming from your first-party data, and not necessarily leveraging the weather feed or whatever additional interaction on third-party data set or information you get. The data coming from the interaction from your brand to the consumer, gets more information or relevant information to bring more revenue.
Yeah, and I think like what we hear a lot too is like, well, my data is not sitting in a CDP. It's not structured the way it needs to be able to do that, but it doesn't need to be. To be able to run this type of analysis, you don't necessarily need to have that identity resolution solution or that single customer view that you're looking for. Your data can tell you a lot, even if you're not in that place. If you are, that's fantastic. But I think
all it takes is to start, and start somewhere, and that can be small, and you don't need the full thing organized to be able to start.
Not at all. Cool. Well, I think
that's all we had for today. I don't know. Let's. I don't see any questions so far. We have a little bit of time. I don't know if I see that we have 5, 6, 7 people connected. Any question, any feedback on the topic of the multi-offer campaigns, the incentive? I'm curious. Are you still sending incentive only campaign? All this stuff we talked about. Don't hesitate to send us the message again on the chat and on the commenting on LinkedIn. We'll see that, and happy to discuss that. Give some time. Not seeing any question so far.
No. Well, if anything comes to mind, as always, you can shoot us a note or a comment on LinkedIn with your thoughts and recommendations, anything that we've missed, or of course, ideas for future topics. Always looking for new opportunities to talk about things that you guys are interested in as well. So hope you enjoyed the live session today. This was definitely fun to do, a little bit of a different format, and hopefully you'll be able to join in the weeks ahead, and we can get a discussion going then. So thanks so much.
Thank you very much for connecting today, and talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.